It's the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast with your hosts, the Wolf and Action Jackson, who are keeping rock alive by talking classic rock, hard rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, 80s music, early MTV, UK vs. US chart success, and much more. This is the home of classic album and live concert reviews and your place for interviews with artists and legends. You're rocking with the Wolf. Out there, rock and rollers. Welcome to episode number 278 of the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. Brought to you by me, your host, Mac B. the Wolf, and I will be joined, as I always am, by my partner in crime from the east coast of the USA, Mr. Gary Action Jackson. And I hope you've been tuned in lately because we have had a blast. Welcome some very special guests on, doing some fun reviews here lately, and we've got a lot more of that in store later this year. And speaking of guests of the podcast, we always do our best to go out and visit our guests when they're out on the road near us. And we're proud to say we've welcomed Oliver Wakeman to the show a few times. Most recently, in February on First Concert Memories, talking about the first time he saw his father Rick on a big stage with Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe in America when he was just a teenager. Well, he and grumpy old Rick are touring the U.S. right now. Maybe just a few weeks and about 13 or 14 gigs. But they came to Cincinnati, and so I thought I'd take the opportunity to go and see him live. Now, I had seen Oliver play in Yes back in 2011, but I'd never seen Rick, and I'd certainly never seen Oliver solo. It is the Wakeman Son tour, as Rick is possibly performing his last American tour. There's rumors about that, but playing some of his classics from The Six Wives of Henry VIII and Journey to the Center of the Earth and King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, plus some Yes stuff, and he's doing it with Oliver, sharing the spotlight. In fact, they kind of go one, then the other, then they play together, and we had a great time at the show. And we're going to talk about that here. It gives Rick a chance to finally tour with Oliver, his oldest son. It gives Oliver a chance to play with Rick, maybe a little bit of a shot at redemption for Rick on this, but it was a great night. The setup was a little odd, and they talked about that during the show, but they were both right on, still playing amazingly. It was great to see them play together. But before we get into that, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. We love to mention that we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a family of over 100 different shows. You can learn more at pantheonpodcasts.com and follow on socials at Pantheon Pods. And you know we love to give shout-outs to our intergalactic sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who's based in the UK, folks, but they ship all over the world. And they grab stuff from all over the world to ship to you. And believe me when I tell you, they have a lot of Rick Wakeman stuff. They have a lot of Yes stuff. They have a lot of Oliver Wakeman stuff. Whatever you might be into, they've got it. And they've given us a code, UGLY, U-G-L-Y. You use that at checkout. You can save 10% off one entire order. Not just one album, but one entire cart of goodies. So you want that original copy of Fragile, Rick's first with Yes? Go get it. You want that Journey to the Center of the Earth from the Netherlands? By all means, go find it. You want to find Mother's Ruin? By Oliver Wakeman. From a Page by Yes? Go get it. And save 10% with the code UGLY on all of it. So, visit rarevinyl.com, use the code UGLY, save 10%. Your record collection will thank you. Now back to Rick and Oliver Wakeman. Rick still has that charm, that sense of humor, that way to disarm the crowd and get them on his side, get them laughing, and still had the amazing talent. Oliver's got a bit of it as well, and it was great to see him not only enjoying playing with his father, but getting a great reaction from his own pieces that he performed during the show. And the fans were very receptive. It was a cool night out, and we eventually got to say hi to Oliver, and we'll talk about that here on the show. So let's get to it. We're talking about seeing Rick Wakeman and Oliver Wakeman live in Cincinnati. You're on the Wolf. Yes, so I guess something I've learned is that, because I've been to hundreds of shows over the years, but then after you interview somebody, you really, really want to see them play. And I don't know if that's a phenomenon every, not just podcast person, but even like journalists, writers, whomever. Once you talk to somebody, you get to know them a little bit, get to know, some of the stories behind the songs or why they wrote them, things like that. It's just, I feel like it's more interesting, right, to see them play. And so we've had Oliver Wakeman on several times. When I saw that Rick Wakeman and Son were touring, and a pretty small tour, and just in a little small part of the country. When I saw they weren't that far away, I said, I got to go see them, because although I saw Oliver play in Yes a while back, I didn't really know much about him other than he was Rick Wakeman's son. And then I've never seen Rick play, so I said, you know what, we're going to see that show. And I got to tell you, it was really great. I guess I could say it's better than I thought it would be. Not that I thought it wouldn't be good, but it was a great night, and it flew by. It just kind of flew by. So, yeah, we can get into it here, but we had a really good time.
Well, that's good. I'm glad, because I know it was an investment in time and travel. They did not come right to the Louisville Palace.
That's right,
as we've talked about recently. But I think you're right. We've interviewed Oliver 2 or 3 times now. And so you kind of feel like you're invested in him. You know about his solo career. We got to know a lot about him and his relationship with Rick through our conversation about him.
On First Concert Memories, yeah.
Correct. Oliver coming to the United States to see Rick play within the Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe. And then you realize he grows up, he becomes a professional musician, he has a career of his own, and now they're doing a father and son tour. Yeah, there's a lot of components in this show that you were looking forward to. And I got to tell you, you said it was a limited tour. I'm really bummed that I don't have a chance to see them, because it sounds really good.
Well, they didn't come close to you, really. I mean,
Right.
You had to come up here to hang out with me and us go up there, So, yeah, I mean, Cincinnati's not far away. And this place was in a cool, hip part of town. It was a place called the Ludlow Garage. I'd never heard of it before. I'd never been there before. It was not a big place, and it was kind of an odd place, but it was 3 miles over the bridge. Like, you come over the bridge 3 miles, it's basically in this hip little neighborhood. But they have these beautiful old, 19th century homes all around it, a couple of hip places to eat, and there's a couple of record stores. And that's Sunday night, so it's closed, the record stores, and even some of the restaurants. So we found a little pizza joint to get to before we went over there. But it was a beautiful night. It was a little warm. Here's the thing. It had been 88 degrees on Sunday. It had been so hot. So, of course, I wore T-shirt and shorts in there. We got in there, and the air conditioner was blowing right on us. Now, if we'd been 20 people to the right, which eventually we were as we were getting out of there, me and the Wolf Pug were like, why did we sit here? It feels so much better. It was freezing. By the end of the show, she was sitting on my lap, not because she couldn't see. It was because we were both so cold we needed to keep each other warm. But we'll get into the venue.
We'll get into the concept of hypothermia here in just a few moments.
Yeah.
So when you say it wasn't big, how many seater are we talking about? And was it like a sit down, or was it a standing room?
Okay, so no, it was sit down.
Okay.
It's called Ludlow Garage, and upstairs there is a restaurant, kind of a normal sized restaurant bar thing facing the street. You walk in there, and then you go downstairs.
Okay.
To the actual joint. Now, I assume it's called the Ludlow Garage because at some point it was, in fact, a garage of some kind. You go downstairs, and then it's basically a huge L shape, okay? You go downstairs. To the right was like a little bar and the merch table, okay? Then you come into the left, and there's this kind of long, narrow passage, and that's where they kind of checked our tickets, gave us our wristbands, that kind of thing. And there were rows starting at about 10 people and then maybe opening up to about 12 or 15 all the way down to this little stage, okay? And then all of a sudden to the left of the stage, here's about 12 more rows, only they're between 30 and 40 seats deep. So it's the most bizarre setup. They even kind of mentioned something about it because when Oliver sat down, I was like, oh, okay, there's people over here, but then there's people all the way over here too, and then there's nothing between them. It's kind of like tennis. You're here or you're here. You're here, kind of thing. So it was a strange place. The stage was a postage stamp. It was a square.
Ooh.
And it had a grand piano on it. Then in front of that, there was a couple keyboards set up, maybe 2 or 3, where Rick could sit down and play. And then behind that was a stand-up place where Oliver could play his keyboards. They didn't really have room on stage for anything else.
Okay,
so it was intimate.
Literally just the two of them. No other band, drums, nothing else.
Not a thing, no.
Okay.
But the seats, let me tell you something, the seats were super nice. They had them custom built in there, and they're like cushy, like movie seats now. I mean,
Oh.
yes, they flip down like most seats in a venue like that do, but they're super cushy. They had drink holders. Now, here's the only thing. It's like they had 4 rows, and then the next one behind it would be up a little bit, and there'd be 4 of them.
Okay.
And the next one behind that would be up a little bit. There'd be 4 of them. So it's not gradual. So if you're in the front row of those 4 seats, you can see pretty well. You're ahead above everybody in front of you. If you're in the back row of those 4 seats like us, you kind of had to dodge through people's heads to see around. But you could see. I mean, I could anyway. I think the Wolf Cub saw better when she's on my lap. But you could see. And then when you stand up, well, there's not a whole lot of room over your head. Yeah, and again, you don't have a straight vision down. But we could see it fine. And the sound was great. I brought the earplugs, but we didn't use them because...
Okay. So it wasn't super loud.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. So it was, we could sit there and just enjoy like a classical bit of piano. It was pretty great.
So I wonder if you're the artist, obviously you have places that you play that you've been to before and you understand what's going on, you like them. But yeah, I wonder about that. You get there and you're like, what? Who booked this? What is this place? It's half and half and a weird setup.
Yeah.
How many people would you say there were total?
I don't think there were 1,000 people in there.
Okay.
I was trying to do the math in my head because over on our side, which I thought was the smaller side, the bottom of the L, if you will, there had to have been 450 people in there, something like that. And I thought the other side was bigger, so that would put it close to 1,000. But then they didn't have nearly, they had more rows of seats, but they didn't have as many people in the rows.
Okay.
So I'm going to say it was 800.
Did the room seem pretty full?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was sold out. And there were like guys in front of me saying, hey, I got the last 2 tickets. Oh,
okay. Well, good. And what was the age dynamic?
Yeah. So Oliver, the Wolf Cub, and I were the 3 youngest people in there. Yeah.
That's kind of what I figured.
Definitely. It says capacity of 717.
Okay.
Or 500 for reserved seating. It was certainly reserved seating. So maybe that's it. Maybe it is about 500 there. Maybe that's right. Yeah.
But I'm glad the house was full, though, because I can't imagine there's anything more disheartening for an artist to show up and just say, oh, no one's here. Cool.
No, it was completely packed, and everybody who was there was super psyched to be there. People who had been, Yes fans forever and prog fans forever. Yeah, it was an older crowd, but it was a fairly hip, I would say, older crowd. Some long hair there, lots of beards. Yeah, it was all right.
I think that's the one cool part about doing shows like this now, because the only people that show up to these are hardcore fans. There's no one like, I'm not doing anything tonight. I think I'll just stop by. No, these are guys that know every note to every song you're going to play. They're excited for everything. And I would imagine they were fans of Oliver too, because he's kind of in the same vein, his music. Like if you like Rick stuff, you're going to like Oliver stuff.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. And they're both in Yes. So if you're a Yes head,
Correct. You're familiar with both of them. And it's kind of a cool deal too, because it's a father and son, and to see them both be professional musicians and get to go out on tour. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that with their old man?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how long I would last with mine, because
it wouldn't work for us. But I mean, it was great to see, and especially when you hear some of the dynamic that we heard about on First Concert Memories, that Rick never showed him to play anything growing up, which is interesting considering a story that he told during the show that we'll get to, but that he only showed him a couple things that they played together once. Well, they had to get together to work on this, to work on the set list, because they put together these different suites of music, and it was Wakeman Son for sure. I mean, sure, Rick is the draw, he is the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, the legend, the huge solo career, and the incredible time in Yes. But he really did give Oliver time to shine, to do his own stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then they complemented each other on some bits, which we'll get into. So it wasn't just, I'm here, and oh, by the way, here's kid number 1 of my 6 or whatever he has.
What was your name again?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. So before we go too much farther, how was the stage attire for Rick?
Yeah, so he basically had a long black coat on.
Okay.
I think kind of all in black. And I read something where he does have something going on. I mean, he's like 76 years old or something like that. So he wears those gloves that has the fingers kind of cut out of them.
Okay.
To kind of keep his hands warm and his circulation doing well. If he's got issues with his hands, I certainly didn't notice it. He played on those things and it moved amazingly well. I mean, I wouldn't have said, oh, well, he's obviously in his 70s. Not for a minute. He could really still play all those fiddly bits up and down on the different keyboards. It was amazing. It was like, wow, you wouldn't know he'd had health problems. Now he's had a lot of different health problems, but a lot of that was from his lifestyle back in the day. Mm-hmm. But his hands seem to still work incredibly well. Whereas Oliver, he's got the long hair and he had kind of that red, I don't know what material it is. It's almost like it's velvet. What is that? Velvet? It's it's kind of a plush thing that he wears on stage. Afterwards, at the merch tent, he had on a leather jacket. So that was definitely a stage outfit for him. But he looked cool. Yep. Rick's wearing what he kind of has to at this age.
Gotcha. But no cape, though.
No cape.
Little disappointed with that because I love the Rick Wakeman cape game.
Absolutely, yeah.
Although I thought it was interesting when we were talking to Oliver about stage attire, and he was talking about wearing like a jacket or a coat or something.
Waistcoat, yeah,
and like a sport coat. Mm-hmm. You can't. It's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to move your shoulders. So yeah, you want the vest or the waistcoat, like they call it, so you can have your shoulders free. Like when you really get into it, you don't want to be restricted. You want to look cool, but you still need to be able to move around a little bit.
But they still wore their jackets, their sports, whatever. Well, I mean, for Oliver, it's kind of a flashy one. For Rick, it was more of a full length kind of a thing, I felt like. But, he's still, I mean, if you've ever seen him do his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction speech where he's pretty funny. Yeah, just go watch that. He's just like that again last night. He hasn't lost a step there, that's for sure.
It's cool that he's, you did mention that he's had health problems, that he still seems to be enjoying this, going out and playing for fans. And just kind of still doing it. Yeah.
No, I mean, there's the thing. A lot of people were speculating in the crowd that this would be Rick's last American tour, perhaps. Okay. He always does tours around the UK. He always does like a Christmas tour. And I missed that when I lived over in England. I just know it sold out really fast while I was there. But, maybe he won't come back to America. And there's a guy who was near us who had a shirt on from 2024 that said, the final, one man Rick Wakeman tour. That was 2 years ago, right? So he's not doing it just by himself anymore because he knows, look, I'm to play the whole time, to entertain the crowd, do the crowd work and all that kind of stuff. He has to go to the bathroom sometimes. He needs a little bit of a rest sometimes. So doing it might be he's done doing it completely solo, one-man show, but he would do this, I think, with Oliver or one of his other kids again, maybe. But there was speculation that this is it as far as Rick in America.
Yeah, I mean, I can take that even into what I do for a job. Like when you have a meeting with somebody, it's way easier to have at least one other person there. So you're not always having to talk and entertain people. And you can take 2 seconds and stare out the window and just center yourself. I can't imagine playing that whole deal, having to tell stories, never getting to take a break. Like you said, I got to go to the bathroom. Hang out here. I'll be back.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, the thing is, too, you got to figure in the United States, it's just a pain. Like, it's fun, I'm sure, but the travel time is just not ideal.
Well, and obviously we're having problems with TSA right now, so they could be in an airport.
True too.
I think I saw that Oliver put on Facebook or one of those places. It was, oh, hey, here we are realizing we just got delayed by another hour or two. But now I get to hear more road stories, so he was looking at the sunny side up kind of part of the story,
Great to see you, and great to see you as well. Great face, love it, thank you. It's really nice to be out on this tour with my son, because way back in 1972, before any of you were born, I was on tour in America with Yes. And in the morning, I got a message that my wife had given birth to a little boy. Not that little, he was £10, 11 ounces. It's true. He was born in wards 6, 7 and 8. He was big. He was really big. I was on tour for quite a long time after that. And by the time I got home to see him, he was already at school. But it's lovely to be out on tour with Oliver. We've done shows before. I've done shows with most of the kids, but I've never done a short tour with Oliver. It's been absolutely great fun. And I suppose this is as good opportunity as ever to introduce you to that little bouncing boy, Oliver Wakeman.
But they only played, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I saw the 8th of the 10 shows I think that they're doing in America, and then they're off. They're back home because I know Oliver has to do, or gets to do, touring with his own band to do his solo stuff and do his From a Page stuff. So basically he comes home and then has to drop this and start to rehearse all over again.
Yeah, I think didn't he tell us it was a pretty tight turnaround there?
Yeah, so more power to him. I would love to hear what he's up to with that band, but, hey, it's all good. Oh, no, I was right. I was wrong. There are actually 13 shows.
Okay.
13 shows on this tour, yeah, so in America.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see the ones that I did. He's still got to go to, they're going back up. They go to Richmond, Virginia, then Englewood, New Jersey, then Huntington, New York, Westerly, Rhode Island, and Red Bank, New Jersey, March 29th. I think this is going to come out the 27th.
So there was nothing on the on the West Coast.
No, they just kind of stayed to a pretty tight little spot in the Northeast and the Midwest there, yeah.
Just makes it easier. To try and get all the way out to California would be just a pain, and there's really nothing in between. So it makes sense.
Oliver said that I think it was the St. Charles, Illinois, which is Chicago-ish show. He saw one of his sisters, one of Rick's kids. It's like, yeah, I saw my sister who was an American, and we got to hang out for a bit.
Oh, that's cool.
So, so I think that was in Chicago, but they had a little spot in Kent, Ohio in between. So I don't know if they're flying to Kent. Probably not, but hopefully they're flying to Richmond. If not, it's a long bus trip from Cincinnati to Richmond.
Did you remember all the Yes, Dad, I got them. Did you? Okay, yeah, here we go. Get on the bus there, Pops. But that's how it goes.
Probably.
And then he's going to, did I ever tell you about the time in 19, yeah, Dad, you've told me that story like 57 times.
But see, what if he hadn't, though, so that would be great to finally be able to hear those stories. Because, growing up, what was he when he was 5 or 6 when his parents kind of separated and Rick started to live in Switzerland. And so he wasn't always on his knee hearing about all those stories. So, yeah. And then, Rick's always been busy. Rick's always been working, it seems. So,
yeah.
It's probably a great time for them to bond and really spend some time together as father and son.
Yeah, I thought that was very strange that he didn't teach him how to play the piano. You would have just thought this is how it goes. I thought it would be kind of the Jason Bonham story. I think it's almost kind of cooler that he made it on his own, Oliver.
Yeah,
doing it his own way.
I totally agree, and I suppose Adam's the same way. Even though Adam's the younger one, but. Yeah, maybe he got into it before Oliver did. Remember, Oliver told us he was kind of into guitar at first.
Right.
And then eventually he kind of transitioned over to piano, and then he really started to study the piano in a major, major way.
Didn't the three of them do some shows or something at one point in time?
Maybe,
I thought he told that he and Adam they were putting rest home brochures on the keyboard to just break his chops because that's fun. Yes, exactly.
Hi, this is Oliver Wakeman, and you're listening to The Ugly American Werewolf in London.
So the set starts off at about 7:45 or so. We're down there just getting the air conditioner just blown right on us.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Rick comes out there. I guess there's a door on the stage. We were kind of on that side where you couldn't see that bit, but they had a screen from where we're sitting with a kind of screen behind them. And it was just showing all the, upcoming events and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Finally, the screen goes dark. We're like, all right, hey, it's time. Woo. Rick just kind of comes out with a microphone, but he doesn't speak into it. And there's kind of an interlude playing in the background there, being piped in. Yeah.
Okay.
Then he sits down at the grand piano and he starts to play and he's dancing just tickling the keys, all over the place. Starts off with a song called The Dance of a Thousand Lights, which I guess was from Return to the Center of the Earth. In 1998-99, he started to work on a sequel to his big classic, what was it, 74, 73, was Journey to the Center of the Earth, which was huge, bigger than I ever thought it was. I read somewhere that it actually sold 14 million copies worldwide. And
wow.
Oliver he came on the show and told us how he was there. He was like a baby in his crib, and he was just like trying to sleep with his mother there. But it went down huge for him. And it's certainly, I mean, I would say that and the Six Wives of Henry VIII and, Legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Those are his big solo records that people know from the 70s. They went gold and platinum and things like that. And then, of course, his time in Yes is very celebrated. His 5 times in Yes, plus ABWH, plus ARW. So that's like 7 Yes-related stints. So, I mean, Rick is very revered in the Yes community. He is of all the amazing keyboardists they've had, he is generally speaking ranked number 1.
Yeah, I think he's the most closely tied to the band. Yeah, just a crazy story, too, about how he would go and come back. But as we've discussed before about Yes, that's what made them great, was people like that having their own opinion, not just saying, well, whatever you guys want to do. No.
Yeah. He joined Yes for Fragile, and then Close to the Edge. He's like, oh, these guys are really onto something. They're doing something cool. They're pushing boundaries. Then comes Tales from Topographic Ocean. He's like, you guys are way up your own whatevers. I'm going to go be a solo artist for a little while. Then they're like, hey, you want to come back? So, yeah, I think I will come back from going for the One and Tormato, And of course, he's the reason there's Tormatos on that, because the first art he hated so much, he threw a tomato at it. But I didn't know the Dance of a Thousand Lights very well. But, just hearing him do it was really cool. And then he picks up the microphone and starts talking about, yes, I thank you very much and so much for coming. I've toured with about all of the kids over the years. The oldest is Oliver here. And, I remember when I was on tour with Yes in America. I was here in America touring with Yes when I got word that he was born. 10 pounds, 11 ounces.
My goodness.
No way. Mad respect for your mother, because not only was she all alone while Rick's gallivanting around the U.S., but, you give birth to this, Buster Watermelon, He's like, yes, and I was on tour so long, by the time I come home, he was already in school. Rick with his humor. But so then he gives Oliver a chance. So he kind of just walks right back off the stage, and Oliver sits down at the grand piano and tells some stories about his wife. Said his wife's not really into music, like at all. And he was playing something one day, and she's like, what is that? The guitarist sounds like an idiot, and the drummer sounds like he's trying to build a shed, and I don't know what the singer's screaming about. He's like, honey, that's Stairway to Heaven. So, she's not on the same level as the rest of us, but he started to play a little bit. He wanted to write a song for her, so he played a little bit for her, and she'd pop her head in. Oh, that sounds nice. He's like, brilliant. So he kind of worked on that. So there's a song off, I think it's Ravens and Lullabies, his album, called LJW, which is his wife's initials. So he wrote this song for his wife. So that's the second song of the set, was LJW. I'd never heard it before, but it was really nice. It was a really pretty song. So it's like Rick gets his solo thing first, steps off. Oliver comes, does his solo thing. Mm-hmm. And then after that, Oliver comes back onto the stage, and they decide to do the Yes suite. Because you can't do all the Yes songs. Obviously, you can't sing them all.
Right.
You can't sing any of them, really. But they decided to put a suite together to do the stuff that they had both done in the band. And so Oliver stayed at the grand piano, and Rick walked in front of him to his little keyboard setup in the front corner of the stage. And they kind of talked about it. So they did a bit of Awaken, and then And You and I. And then they go to The Gift of Love for Oliver. Then they do Wondrous Stories from Rick. Then they do Words on a Page from Oliver, and then they kind of wind up with Roundabout. And you really could tell each time they were in each piece.
Okay.
And so it's cool. They were playing sometimes apart, but sometimes together and complementing each other. And I think that's what they really had to work out, because there aren't necessarily two keyboards in any Yes bit. Maybe there's some that they wrote and then they recorded and tracked it in. But it really was cool to hear and see them performing together on some of these.
Okay.
And some of the stuff like Roundabout, he was playing Steve's part.
Right. That's what I was going to say. They had to. You can't just do the keyboard part, because
Right.
then it's like, wait, which one is this? So yeah, you got to build in the other parts so that you understand what song they're playing. So you kind of have to orchestrate it a little bit differently. But that must have been really cool to see them both play together and realize like there's no room for mistakes here. Like you can't, if you hit a wrong note, it's gonna sound sour.
Well, and you had to arrange them in a way that makes sense. And we'll talk about that when we get to the Six Wives suite. But you had to transition from one to another in ways that made sense. And sometimes you would jump from what would sound more like an electric piano to a synthesizer or something like that. They're set up to make different kinds of sounds. But obviously they both knew what each one was doing, and they were right on top of all of them. I didn't hear him hit a sour note. They probably did in their minds.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't pick up on any of it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, sometimes you wonder that too. Like, you're sitting there thinking, wow, that was 100%. Oh, I could have done this better. Or I was late. This was too slow, and it sounded good to me. I don't know.
Exactly. Those are some great ones that Rick played on. And obviously the Oliver from a Page stuff is great. I like it. Not everybody has heard that. It was kind of a 4-piece. You'd almost have to call it an EP, but it was, I thought it was awesome. It was so much fun to hear the two of them doing that together. I would say
that was
the highlight of the show.
Yeah, that's what you were looking forward to. And at this point in time, the sound is good. It's not too loud. It sounds nice.
It's perfect. We brought the earplugs.
Uh-huh.
Wolf Cub's like, Daddy, I don't even think we need them. She's like, I think you're right. Yeah.
And she's hardcore for that. So for her to say that, I would say you were okay.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so then the Yes suite is kind of, to me, that's kind of what we're all waiting for, in my opinion. That's, they're both in Yes. That's why we know Oliver, know. So it's all good. And then after that, we go into a little bit of the King Arthur piece. They did a bit of The Last Battle, and they did a bit of Merlin the Magician. Now for this, both of them were at their respective, what I call plug-in keyboards, synthesizers, right? So there's no one at the Baby Grand. Rick kind of stays up front. He was talking about, well, he said, here's a story that Oliver just told me. And then Oliver just said, yeah, there's a Stonehenge-like thing kind of close to us where there's these 25 big stones, and they say, a witch turned all the knights into stone here, and they're all kind of, arranged in a certain way. And we like to go up for picnics, me and the family. So one day they were having some kind of pagan ritual up there, and there's, they're performing these pagan rites, and it's a ceremony and blah, blah, blah. They say something about how usually we have a non-believer come and pass out the food, or not, someone who's not part of the Wiccan, or the whatever they call those things.
Okay. The Coven.
The Coven, yeah, whatever. I don't know, And they go to Oliver's son, who's very young. Would you like to do it? And I guess the dude who was performing this, ritual and leading the way was called Merlin. I said, okay. What? And Merlin comes up. What's your name, little one? And he looks up at him and says, Arthur. Yes, Oliver did name his son Arthur after Rick's album, but the guy Merlin's like, yeah, I knew he'd come back to haunt me one day. Ha ha ha. And so then they go into The Last Battle, and then Merlin the Magician. And I thought Merlin the Magician was a really cool song. I always have. Mm-hmm. If you've never heard that, I would definitely encourage people to hear it. It's a really long, the official title. It's like The Tales of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Like, that's the whole name of the album. It's a little long. It's not exactly physical graffiti, but I thought it was great. I thought it was so cool to hear them together, and the pieces that Oliver was playing behind Rick when he was doing his really fiddly bits. It was really good. It was really cool.
And how was the audience at this point in time? I mean, they must have been psyched to hear that because that was the big solo.
Absolutely.
Record from him, so.
They're totally psyched. I mean, everyone's on their side there.
Yeah.
It was just kind of funny. It's almost like they didn't know where to look. Like, do I look this way or do I look, 90 degrees this way? Because usually you're kind of looking at one vast up like that. And it's like this and this, two big blocks. It's a very strange setup, if you ask me. But
yeah, I'd be interested when hopefully we'll get to talk to Oliver again. I'd like to ask him about that. Like, was that disconcerting? Like, was you like, yeah, I don't know what's happening here. Just
well, here's
interesting.
The thing. Stuart Copeland, he does that "Have I Said Too Much" speaking tour. He's going to be at that place for that.
Oh boy!
Now, to me, that's a perfect place for that kind of thing. Honestly, it's intimate. You can see the whites of everybody's eyes, especially if you don't turn the lights down too much.
Yeah,
I bet he takes questions, and then there's going to be some questions that he takes them, but they're kind of right there on the card. But yeah, I feel like that would be a perfect venue for that. So we'll see what he says about that. Yeah, it'd be interesting. But if you look at setlist.fm, that's the end of set 1.
Okay.
And then there's a set 2. Now, Rick said at the end of Merlin, he's like, usually there's an intermission. And he's talking about how these days it's tough because you have to get up in the bathroom. He's like, anybody have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom? And it's like, the entire place was like, yes, of course we are. He's like, no, that's okay. And at home, that's fine because you know where your bathroom is and you know how many steps is to get there. But you're on the road and the bathroom's not where it's supposed to be. I've already ruined 3 wardrobes on this tour, from that's just Rick being Rick.
Now, sometimes we have an interval. We're not going to talk tonight. That's because when you get to my age, and there might be one or two out there who are close to my age, it's a thing called the bladder and the prostate, and they're not very kind. And you get what's known as the 2-minute warning at best. And it's like, I mean, be honest, how many of you guys have to get up during the night?
Yeah, well,
Now, it's fine. If you're in your own home and you're in your own bed, you get out of bed, you know where the bathroom is, and you're half asleep, and you turn right and go into your bathroom, and it's fine. When you're on tour, the hotels don't always have the bathrooms where you expect them to be. I've already ruined 3 wardrobes on this. Anyway, Oliver has very kindly volunteered to be the interval. And so I'll leave you in his capable hands while I put something else in my capable hands.
Basically saying, I had to go take a piss. He goes, but Oliver has been generous enough to kind of take the lead and do this. So there is no real break. Like you think, okay, there's set 1 and there's set 2. They must take 15 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now Oliver comes out. He sits, or he was already out there, but he sits down at the Baby Grand and he starts talking about a story of, he's got a drummer, Rodney Matthews, friend of his, made records with him. He lost his wife, but then he found another wife. So then he asked Oliver to do some music for his wedding. And then basically Oliver came up with the idea that he would write a song for him as his wedding present. So not only did he play music while the bride was walking in, which is kind of a funny story. I might be able to put some audio of that in the show and play while she was walking out. But then later at the reception that night, he could play this song. It's called November Wedding. And that's what he did. So he played the November Wedding song, again, by himself on the grand piano. So we've had basically 5 songs. 2 of them were suites, but basically 5 songs. And Oliver has played solo on 2 of those songs. So it really is Wakeman and Son, not just Rick Wakeman and there's somebody else who's also playing with me. He really does get his own time to shine.
That's cool. Because, I mean, I understand that you wanted to see Rick play, but, I mean, we definitely got more of a connection with Oliver.
That's right.
And interesting to see him play his solo stuff. So, yeah, I'm glad he got time, although I don't know how excited the audience was when they figured out there was going to be no intermission because they were probably looking forward to the same thing.
There were a lot of people walking back and forth. kind of at all times, and you're right in front of them. I mean, you're 2 feet in front of them. So, and some are just going to get beers, So, like, I wonder how distracting that is. Like, look, they've both been doing this a long time.
Yeah,
they know the game.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're, if you're not actively throwing things, I think they can just kind of tune that out. Because that would be way too distracting every time somebody got up.
Oh, absolutely. It was kind of distracting to me, but
right,
it's all good. Now, the next bit was interesting. Rick comes back on stage. He said, while Oliver and I were working this out, we kind of wanted to do an in memoriam piece because we've lost some people who were important to us in recent years, So one that was who left us kind of recently in 2025 was Dave Cousins. He died in July of 2025, and he was kind of he's kind of the creative force behind Straubs, which was the band that Rick was in before he joined Yes, but also Oliver did a bit of a tour and I think some recording with Straubs, sometime in the last 25 years.
Okay, so they were both close with him then.
Yeah, right. So they both knew him. They'd both been in that band, and he'd passed away. And so they decided to do a Straub song called A Glimpse of Heaven, which is, and they kind of go out and play the whole thing. Again, I feel like they were both on their plug-in keyboards. Oliver's standing up. Rick's kind of at the front bit for A Glimpse of Heaven. Before they went into it, though, he goes, and then, of course, my father, he passed. I think he passed a long time ago, but he passed, and he was a very talented keyboard player. And he says, and I remember sitting with him playing piano when I was young, and there's a song that we used to play together quite a bit, Sweet Georgia Brown. So my dad and I used to play that together, so I thought it'd be nice if Oliver could play that with his dad the same way I did that with my dad. And in the back of my head, I was thinking, why didn't you play this with him when he was younger?
So that's kind of, it's almost like you knew too much at that point in time, because probably everybody else was like, oh, isn't that sweet? And you're thinking, that didn't happen at all.
Exactly. Like, you never played with him once, man. And so I, without having a total Freudian session with Oliver, it'd be interesting to see how he felt about that. But they played it brilliantly. And the thing is, after they finished A Glimpse of Heaven, Oliver kept playing, this kind of background and music and keeping the tone set. And then Rick scooted over to the grand piano to play Sweet Georgia Brown.
Okay.
So he kind of played both during that bit there. But it was cool, and the crowd really liked it. So then it was time for the Six Wives Suite. And he made a joke about that. He's like, well, I can't play all of these songs in their entirety. What do we call that? And the crowd goes, the Six Wives Suite. He's like, yeah, that's right, Six Wives Suite. So he did not play them in order. I think Jane Seymour was last. I can't remember the order of all of them. It may have been Anne Boleyn first, and there was a couple of Catherines, then maybe the Anna, and then Catherine of Aragon, and then last it was Jane Seymour. I think I probably got that wrong. But it was interesting because he said, I wanted to put all these together and do kind of bits from all of them. But I wasn't going to put them in order because musically that didn't work. That's why he worked on rearranging them in a way that would flow from one into the other. I'm like, see, now that's musicianship, because most people just say, well, just play them in order because that's the way we know them. He's like, no, to hit the notes right, to make it all sound better, I'm going to do it in this own kind of order here.
You're really kind of making it into a new piece. You're rearranging it so it's, and I get that, because you want it to, you don't want it to sound jarring to people. Like, well, that's the way it is on the record if you only hear this part. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't know that back to front. I have listened to that a couple of times, so some of it is pretty memorable, and I thought some of it was really great. But that's what he's doing, that and Journey to the Center of the Earth excerpts. He's, for the most part, doing that without Oliver. He did the Six Wives Suite completely without Oliver. Journey to the Center of the Earth, I think maybe Oliver was back for that. I'm pretty sure.
So he leaves the stage then.
So he leaves the stage, and then he comes back for the Journey to the Center of the Earth excerpts. And again,
which I thought was weird when I went to go see, when we saw Steve Hackett, that Nad would come on and off, but I'm like, that it works better. You don't want somebody just standing there, like staring at you. If you're not going to play, then it's okay. You get used to that on and off pretty quick.
And that's what the Wolf Cub said during the Yes thing, because when they started with Awaken, Oliver wasn't playing yet. Rick was just kind of doing his thing. She said, I feel sorry for Oliver. He's just sitting there not playing. I'm like, he is going to play, honey. There's just this bit he's not playing in. And then after he started to play, because we're in the 10th row. We're right behind him. We're not that far. And you could see his hands moving for different pieces. That was the cool part, is that we could see their hands. And when Oliver was at the Grand and Rick was at his spot, you really could see both of their hands at the same time.
Yeah, that is cool, because then it's more of a connection. I see how this sound is being made.
Yeah, absolutely. They do Journey to the Center of the Earth. The crowd, well, first of all, the crowd went nuts after the Six Wives suite. They really went crazy. They're like, woo! They're all standing up going nuts. And then after Journey to the Center of the Earth, once again, he's like, oh, thank you very much, good night, that kind of thing. And they walk off. They come right back. There's not a long, we want the show. They just kind of step down off and step right back up.
Let's not pretend here. You were going to do that the whole time.
Right.
So,
well, yeah, exactly. There's no pretense. So, yeah, let's just do it. And then he comes back out to say, also in memoriam, I had to talk about David Bowie. I was so fortunate enough to play on some of his records, gig that any piano player in the world would want to have. And, he did countless innumerable session work over the year. He's on so many different albums. He comes out and plays Life on Mars by David Bowie as a tribute to him. And that was pretty cool because people love that. And he goes, and then afterwards we'll do a fun song to kind of wind it up. And that last one is called The Jig, which is on an album called Cirque Surreal, which I don't really know. But they really kind of jammed out. The encore wasn't super long. You hear a little bit of Bowie, and then they do The Jig, and he's, they're both like, thank you very much, good night. They hug, they walk off the stage. And honestly, it was close to 2 hours, hour and 45 minutes at least. And I was never bored. It was never slow. The 11-year-old was never bored. She was cold.
Yeah.
But she was never bored.
That wasn't their fault, though. That was
No,
fault.
No. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was really cool.
Hi, this is Guy Fletcher from Dire Straits, and you're listening to The Ugly American Werewolf in London.
Now, of course, we were going to try to see Oliver. I'd sent him, when he was on our show, he said, send me an email 2 weeks before, just remind me you're going to be there. So about 10 days before I do that, of course, I never hear from him because he's busy trying to get to the show and get in the U.S. and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not really worried about it. Then the day of the show, I'm like, okay, hey, we're going up to Cincinnati. He did make you something, because when he showed us, he keeps all this really cool stuff on a shelf in his office there that people give him.
Yeah.
I'm like, you should make him something. I bet he would like that. So she made him a couple things. She made him, out of paper, a piano that was kind of like half Korg, half grand piano that opened up and had the keys, and on the keys it said Oliver Wakeman. That's all out of paper. And then she got a 3D printer for Christmas. She made him a tiny little, I'm talking, was it 2 inches maybe, stand-up piano with white and black keys that she glued on there from there. And then there's a little spot indented in there where you could put the book.
Okay.
And then,
the songbook.
The songbook, right.
Book.
So she took a little piece of paper and glued it in there and put words on a page, his song on there, put it right on there. And so we go back to see him. He's like, okay, I saw a friend of mine in the merch table before the show. I'll come see you afterwards. So like, okay, great. Maybe we would have left during the encore, but now we're going to see you. That's fine. We'll hang out and go to the merch table.
Yeah.
And we're behind a few people. And as soon as we're there, it's like, oh, Mac. Oh, Catherine, your dad's told me all about you. Gave her a big hug.
Oh, boy.
And she thought that was so cool. And then she showed him the stuff. And then all the old people behind him was like, oh, my God, that's amazing. She made that for him. That's so nice. And, of course, I gave him a couple of Wolf T-shirts. I'm like, here, you wear this while you're washing the car, or maybe you need something to dry your car with, whatever you need. Yeah. There's a couple of Wolf shirts, some stickers. And so he took our pictures, which I just sent to you there. And
let me see these.
Me and my WKRP in Cincinnati T-shirt, appropriate for the occasion.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That looks good. He looks happy. He's got a cool leather jacket on.
He was in a good mood. He is like 6'4", dude. He and Rick are both huge. They are so big. Well, I mean, Oliver's just tall. I wouldn't say he's big. Rick's kind of big at this point. He's put on some weight, but they're so tall. They tower over all the nerds in line who are trying to get him to sign stuff.
Well, that is interesting, because I mean, the only time we've ever seen him, he's been sitting at a desk behind a microphone. So you got to get that scale. Oh. There you are.
Well, I noticed when he was in Yes that I thought he was pretty tall, but he wasn't. He was behind his keyboard. So, like, if he's on a riser, it's kind of hard to tell. He could be 5'11", he could be 6'4". It's hard to know. But he did sign my from a page
Oh, cool.
CD cover for me. And then, we kind of split. We jumped in and rode the hour and a half back to the VIII there. But the Wolf Cub was on cloud nine. She's like, oh, wow, I've never met anybody famous before, Daddy. I'm like, all right, well, he's not as famous maybe as Rick, but, yes, he is a world famous musician and a heck of a nice guy. And that's what she kept saying. She's like, he's a nice guy, right? I'm like, oh, you'll never meet a nicer guy. So that's like, come on, we got to meet him. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll stay after. We'll meet him. We'll find it. So she thought it was amazing. And for the first 5 minutes on the ride home, she's like, it was amazing. It was so cool. Then she put the seat back and she was in chill mode the rest of the way.
Well, I'm glad you stuck around. I'm glad that he made a good impression on her, especially. I mean, we've talked to him a couple of times, so you kind of know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's all excited. She made him these things. If he was just like, yeah, whatever, that would have just absolutely crushed her.
Right. No, he still might have thrown him away. It's certainly the paper one, but
I'm talking about in this moment.
Yes, exactly.
This is the greatest thing I've ever got. Thank you so much for making this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Once you go away, I don't really care. Although, how cool would that be to see on the shelf the next time you talk to him?
You think he's going to wear those wolf shirts around town at home? I don't think so. He probably give them to the road. He's like, here, man, here's a souvenir,
No, he and Rick are going to wear them the next time they go on stage.
I don't think they will. But no, he could not have been nicer about the whole thing. He's like, yeah, we should talk again soon. We'll have a catch up before too long. I'm like, yeah,
cool.
I definitely want to hear about his tour in the UK. And, how did this go? Because the crowds loved it, but how did you like it? How did Rick like it? That might be interesting to learn. But overall, the night was great. I mean, it was, considering all they did was play piano and tell stories, it zipped by. I mean, hour and 52 hours, however long it was, just flew right by. It took a long time to get out of there because we were downstairs. There's a bunch of old people who had to go upstairs.
Move.
So that took a while to get out of there finally. And of course, we encountered a bit of a windstorm on the way home.
Ooh.
But hey, we got home in one piece. And it was really a fun night. It was a fun night for me and the Wolf Cub to just be together and enjoy this really cool music. I mean, just being able to meet Oliver was kind of the icing on the cake, but it was fun. And you expose her. I mean, really, that's classical music. So I know I take her to a lot of rock shows, but just piano, I'm sorry, that's classical music. It doesn't matter, there's no one singing. It doesn't matter if it was maybe on a rock album. It's classical. So it's giving her a different exposure to different things.
Yeah, and you can see like composition, and you can see how two musicians play sometimes together, sometimes different parts. I think that's an important skill to learn and to be appreciative of if she is a musician also.
And she's working on it, no doubt about it.
She has an appreciation for it,
no doubt about it. So yeah, I got a picture. That's the three youngest people at the show right there.
Yeah.
Me and Oliver and the Wolf Cub. Yeah.
We got to wrap this up by 9:30 because everybody's got to go to bed.
It's bedtime.
Yeah.
What a special night out we had with Rick and Oliver Wakeman in Cincinnati. It was fun. You hear these yes pieces that you've been listening to for decades, but just the keys right up close. It was a lot of fun. We were certainly entertained by the Wakeman boys, both with their amazing playing and, well, their jolly senses of humor. I don't know if this is going to be Rick's last U.S. tour. Kind of hope not. I'd love to see him again. But it's always a possibility at this age. Just glad he got to tour with Oliver. Oliver got to spend some time with his dad here. We got to come back to the U.S. for a bit. Maybe a little bit of redemption there. We got to play that Sweet Georgia Brown together. Make it up for lost time. That's always cool. The coolest part was Oliver couldn't have been nicer. I think he stayed late at the merch table signing stuff for people just so we'd have a chance to go see him in the Wolf Cub. And Oliver, you made the Wolf Cub's day. She was so excited. She's like, I've never met anybody famous before, Daddy. He was so nice. You're so gracious, so sweet to her. I know you're a man of character and a very talented musician. So glad I really got to see you and focus on you. It's been a long time since I saw you, and yes. And I was up in the balcony. I was trying to actually follow Steve Howe. You know how that is. But anyway, Oliver, thank you so much. You are welcome here anytime. And I hope we get to catch up with you soon because I'd love to hear how your UK tour goes with your band doing your stuff and doing the From a Page stuff. That sounds amazing. And for the Rick Wakeman fans, yeah, it was great to hear the bits of The Six Wives of Henry VIII. It was great to hear some of his pieces of Yes, and just to watch him still be able to do his thing. And Oliver can do it too. Legacy continues. And my legacy continues as my daughter loved it So you can get kids into rock and roll. You can get them into piano music. There's always a way in. You can get them into orchestral symphony music. There's always a way in. You've just got to find it. And we want to know, folks, did we get something right? Did we get something wrong? Did we miss the point? Did we leave out your favorite part? You got to email us and let us know. It's uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. You let us know bands, the albums, the artists, the tours, the DVDs, the books, the concerts, the rock properties you want to hear us talk about here on the show. And we need you to download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can give us comments right on Spotify these days, which is kind of cool. And if you're thinking about it, hey, please go give us a 5-star review. It means the world to us. It helps us find more rock and rollers like you. If you send it our way, we might just read it on an episode. Thanks as always to Pantheon Podcast for making us part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com, where if you use the code UGLY, you can save 10% off one entire order. That's it for this week. Next week, we're lining up another very special guest that we've been looking forward to for a long time. So you're going to have to stay tuned. And until next time, to all you rockers all around the world, be cool and keep doing what you do to keep rock alive.